So our next ICO pitch, it will be the company Mainnet. And the speaker is Adil Wali. Please, come ahead. Hey, stage is yours. Great.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. My name is Adil Wali, and I'm a recovering retail entrepreneur. I spent the last 12 years of my career in retail. I've been fortunate enough to be part of 3 venture-backed startups in that space, the largest of which was a retail and women's fashion called ModCloth, where I was co-founder and CTO. And we started that company in graduate school at Carnegie Mellon. And after our first round, so 4 years after we started that business, or 4 years after the first round, we were doing $100 million in revenue online. And it was sort of a very interesting growth trajectory, great business, super happy to have been a part of it. And I bought Bitcoin for the first time in 2012. And while as an investor, I've been very happy with sort of the growth, parabolic growth in Bitcoin since then, I'm not really happy with the usage of cryptocurrency globally. So I do think that the biggest problem in crypto, and one that we don't really talk about enough, is that while we're here in this room sort of excited about crypto and what it can do, I think the largest problem is that really almost nobody uses it, right? So the statistics, no matter sort of what we look at, they all agree in credible reports that it's far less than 1% of the world's population. And I think the Cambridge report is a good one. They said less than 1 in every 2,500 people has any kind of active cryptocurrency wallet. So I think this is a sort of significant problem, and if we reason about it, I think it's actually quite interesting. It makes sense, right? I mean, it's sort of difficult to use, and I'm not talking about people in this room. I'm not talking about people in tech. I'm talking about my next door neighbor. I'm talking about my parents, right? These are non-trivial technologies, right? They're relatively unforgiving. Also, if you lose your private key, you sort of lose everything, right? If you mistype the address of the person you're sending to, you burn the currency that you're sending in almost every case. And the thing we don't want to talk about is there is sort of a slanting toward the elite, right? There is a decentralized sort of underpinning, but I mean, we know that there are people with literally football fields full of ASICs mining, the big currencies, and so and there's also sort of a centralization, I think, of wealth happening that's part of that. And so when you look at that, it sort of makes sense that the broader world isn't really coming in to crypto, right? And I think that the interesting part about this is, as a community, we have our focus largely focused in elsewhere. The 2 big, I think, vectors of innovation in crypto, one is anonymity, which I think there's lots of interesting stuff happening there that I think we all are sort of familiar with, and the other is programmability, right? So we're sort of making, with smart contracts and the rest, we're making it easier to access. And so what Mainet's trying to do is sort of different, right? We're trying to make crypto more accessible to the sort of everyday user, and we're trying to do that while staying sort of committed to the decentralized paradigm, right? Without sort of adding these centralized points of usability into the ecosystem. So for us, there's sort of 3 things that we focus on. We have the first piece is community, which really boils down to incentives. The second is safety, and the third is simplicity. So to sort of quickly double-click into the ones that I think are most important, right? Because we have some headline features that sort of match each core vector that we care about. When we think about growth mining in Mainnet, so I'll explain how growth mining works in a second, but the problem with mining is, of course, that it's hugely capital intensive, right, which creates this centralization with the way that mining works today. And mining is largely a security activity, right? It's a lottery that we do that incentivizes people to secure the network. And so with Mainnet, what we did is we said, hey, how can we make it so that people can mine and that we can create an incentive structure that benefits the network, but that isn't so capital intensive and that allows sort of anybody, whether they had a computer or not, to sort of be part of that ecosystem. So, the idea, of course, is to have, accessibility to anybody. And the way growth mining works in Mainnet is that we, as a blockchain, so Mainnet is... Thank you. Mainnet is what we think of as the world's sort of first truly invite-only blockchain. And so there's referential integrity. Every node has a copy of the referral tree. And so we use that to create this sort of A and V score. And what we do is we actually split the block reward in Mainnet. So there's part of the block that goes to security, part of the block that goes to the growth mining, right? And you don't need a computer to growth mine. The other thing we have on the simplicity side is this notion of Mainnet money. So it's a simple escrow on the blockchain. We take the secrets you need to claim this escrow, we put it into a link, and you can send it sort of any way you want, right? So you can DM it to a friend, you can SMS it to a friend. I think I've SMS'd some Mainnet to some folks here. It's pretty easy to sort of claim. You don't need to download anything. And the third thing is decentralized vaults on the blockchain. And so these are quite interesting. We have 2 keys. We also have whitelists so that if your vault is penetrated, the bad actor can't actually send the money to themselves, only to the whitelist. And finally, we have rate limits, so we stop the bleeding.
Perfect. Hey. Great. Okay, thank you so much. And now, please, critical questions.
So is this a blockchain?
It is. There was a slide later that I didn't get to, but yes, yeah. So it is a blockchain. It is a protocol.
Okay.
And
Is it open source?
it is. Yeah.
And is your company able to block or rescind transactions?
Yes. So we have so Merit money links because they're an escrow. So wait, you mean can we individually?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As a central actor.
If a bad guy has an account
No.
with some coins, can you take the coins away?
No.
Okay.
No. What users can do is they can cancel a Merit money link because it's an escrow. So you can cancel it anytime up until the user accepts it. That's sort of the like fail safe that we have for people making mistakes. But there's no central way that we can sort of control that.
Okay.
How far are you with the protocol? So where do you stand with the project right now?
Good question. So Mainnet is live, and we launched we launched Merit. Am I able to click? I'm not able to click. There's a slide that would show you. But we launched Merit 23 days ago, and we did sort of a decentralized Satoshi-style launch. So no ICO. We self-funded the organization, and it's been sort of awesome watching. I wish I could show you the slide. There's like a network graph, and you can see kind of the super connectors because we have this sort of invite-only blockchain. And so you can read the chain and see what happens. So it's been cool. There's 60,000 plus CPU cores mining, thousands of users on the network, and we've spent no money on paid marketing. So it's been really interesting watching it sort of grow. Yeah, it's really fun.
So if the mining is not based on a proof of work of any kind, how do you deal with the botnet or Sybil issues?
Super good question. So it is actually, so what we have is a split reward. So we have proof of work. We use John Tromp's cuckoo cycle. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's like memory-bound graph theoretic. So we use that for POW. And then we have proof of growth. And so we split the rock reward. So we still have this, we think of it as the best of both worlds because you have this security mining dynamic to sort of keep security, but then you have this proof of growth thing that people can do without a PC. I mean, just like you can be in a remote sort of village somewhere, share it with that community, and you're a growth miner. And there's also like a B2B case there, like as a retailer accepting it, you're now a growth miner, right? But we have these two things. We keep them very separate, and we split the reward. So we think that's sort of the best way to do it. We didn't like the conflating that happens with like proof of stake and others.
And is the main purpose to be a more easy-to-use cryptocurrency? Is the goal here to be a means of payment, or is the app meant for something else?
I think it's primarily to be, so two answers, right? So one, I think absolutely just a means of payment, right? I think when we think about the broader blockchain ecosystem, I think we want to be an on-ramp, right? I think there's actually a very small number of people, if you think of like a bullseye, there's a small number of people who actually use crypto, and then there's like larger crypto-curious group, right, who like want to come in. There's not an easy on-ramp. There are some centralized on-ramps that are like kind of easy, but there's not like a thing you can do at the protocol level that makes it sort of quick and easy to get on. So I think that's our beachhead, is the crypto-curious.
How do you then see the ecosystem for this protocol behind it, let's say, increasing or establishing? Is that you want to, say, go with it with a payment module, basically to a merchant and sell it and say, you have to accept my token as a means of payment? Or how do you see you will reach the critical mass in order to adopt it?
You know, I think for us, it's a sort of like a crawl, walk, run is how we talk about it internally, right? So like crawling to us is just like peer-to-peer payment, right? So like splitting drinks at the bar, I think is like a great first use case. We think it's relatively easy to do because you can, text or, DM somebody money. And then we think beyond that, of course, like retail, it becomes interesting by virtue of this notion of growth mining that we think delivers on the thing crypto is supposed to deliver on, which is like you get to be part of the fee structure as like a regular person. So there's sort of that next step. And then I think beyond that, there's like, B2B cases, there's charitable giving and stuff that's really interesting when you think about how growth mining works, which is that, so you did a charity drive in Merit. It's like the gift that keeps on giving, right? Because you collect the fee in Merit, but then you're now entered into this growth lottery for having brought people to the Merit network, right? Sort of forevermore. And so, that actually came to us from the community. So I think that's how we think about it, is like P2P first, and then we think about this like more sort of retail charitable case, and then we sort of go from there.
One last question.
Quick question. The idea that using Facebook to send crypto is pretty smart. Do you think that Facebook will like if Merit offers this, or maybe they have their own solution that they would like to promote?
It's a good question, actually. I was quoted in the Merkel when Facebook did this thing, and Facebook hasn't responded. But I think Facebook. I think we don't know what Facebook's going to do. I think that it's a good idea that they get into blockchain because they have a great engineering organization. It's not clear if they're going to adopt other protocols or build their own. They have a great C++ team, so we'd love to sort of be involved with them some way. I think it's still a while yet before they make a change. I mean, they have such a huge user base that I think we've got years before we see them do anything there.
Thank you. Very interesting.
Thank you. Great. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.